The first Azrathian warships appeared above Earth without ceremony, no warning, no declaration, just a sudden ripple in the sky as space bent under the weight of their arrival. Their formation was flawless, each vessel sliding into position with the mechanical precision of a guillotine blade held inches above a trembling neck. Cities from New Osaka to Lagos watched the night turn metallic as 300 alien cruisers eclipsed the stars. Inside the unified command citadel beneath the Nevada desert, Commodore Rylan Arcturus stared at the tactical display without blinking. The holodeble bathed his face in cold blue light, outlining the sharp edges of a man who had spent most of his adult life preparing for a moment he hoped would never come. "They're broadcasting on every global band," Commander Reyes said, voice tight. "Put it through," Rylan answered. The air shimmered. A towering, mantis-skinned figure materialized above the table, draped in ceremonial obsidian armor. High Chancellor Zorvak's expression was carved from disdain. "Humans," the alien leader began, his voice resonating like distant thunder. "By decree of the Azrathian Galactic Empire, you will submit your worlds, your fleets, and your governance. Resistance is unacceptable. Surrender within 5 of your minutes." The hologram blinked out. The room erupted into whispers, fear, fury, confusion. Rylan raised a hand, silencing them. General Preston leaned forward. "They'll bombard Earth the moment the timer runs out. It's what they did to the Korthans," General Yao added. "Half a civilization erased because they hesitated." Rylan's voice remained measured. "They expect us to panic. They assume we're predictable." He looked around the chamber, meeting each gaze in turn. "But we aren't." A younger politician, Minister Hale, spoke up. "Then we negotiate. There's no winning this. 300 ships? That's just their greeting party. And surrender?" Rylan asked. "You've studied their history. Every species under their banner is stripped of identity and thought. No culture survives beneath them, only obedience. Better obedience than extinction," Hale muttered. Rylan stepped closer. "If we kneel now, we kneel forever." The seconds on the hollow timer continued their march downward. 4:12. 4:11. 4:10. Engineer Mara Keats, hands still shaking from the broadcast, approached Rylan. "The quantum phase shift array is online. It's stable for now." Reyes exhaled sharply. "You're actually considering using it?" "It's the only reason we're still talking instead of hiding in bunkers," Rylan said. "The Empire believes they've mapped every threat in the galaxy. So we give them something they've never imagined." The room fell silent. Every person present knew what activating the array meant. They had spent years constructing the Ghost Fleet project in secrecy, countless failures, terrifying energy surges, and unstable dimensional echoes. But if it worked, it would change the war before it began. Minister Hale shook his head. "That project is a prototype. You'll tear a hole in the system. Or worse." Rylan met his eyes. "Or we survive." The minister looked away. The timer hit 3:02. Rylan motioned to Reyes. "Patch me through to global leadership." Dozens of faces appeared, presidents, governors, colony representatives. All carried the same mix of dread and resolve. Rylan spoke with clarity. "The Empire will not allow coexistence. If we surrender, we disappear as a people. Our only leverage is the one thing they underestimate, our unpredictability. I have a strategy, dangerous, untested, but it gives us a chance." "What chance?" someone asked. "To show the Empire that conquering us will cost more than they expect." A tense silence followed. President Elena Ward spoke first. "Commodore Arcturus, the authority is yours. Do what must be done." The connection closed. Rylan exhaled, just once. "Begin activation," he ordered. Mara and her team ran to the central console. Red status lights flipped to green one by one. The air thickened with electrical tension. Energy built beneath the facility until the very walls seemed to hum. The timer reached 1:12. Above Earth, the Azrathian flagship broadcast again. "Human officers, acknowledge. Your time is nearly Rylan muted the channel. Focus, he said. Mara's voice trembled. Quantum stabilizers aligned. Field resonance at 80%, Reyes reported. The floor vibrated lightly, then violently. Hold it, Rylan said. Don't push past threshold. We don't have a choice, Mara replied. They'll slice us apart before we finish. The timer hit 0:47. Earth's orbit grew brighter as alien ships powered their weapons. The Empire never bluffed. Their beams could melt continents. Phase coils charged, Reyes said. Rylan placed his hand over the final authorization pad. On my mark. The timer flashed red. 0:19. 0:18. 0:17. Outside, the Empire unleashed targeting locks on every major city. Mara whispered, Please work. Rylan breathed in, calm despite the roar of energy around him. Mark. His palms struck the pad. The world lurched. Light burst outward in a silent wave that stretched far beyond the citadel. Space around Earth shimmered, distorted, and then erupted. Hundreds of warships materialized in perfect, sweeping arcs around the planet. Some were vast carriers, others sleek destroyers, every one broadcasting unmistakable human signatures. The dark void bloomed with steel and firepower that did not exist. On the Azrathian bridge, alarms shrieked. Impossible, their commander stammered. They cannot have built a fleet of this size. Zorvac watched the feed in disbelief. Scan them. We are scanning. They're real, Chancellor. We detect thousands of signatures. The flagship trembled as Zorvac rose, eyes burning with fury. What have these humans done? Deep beneath Nevada, Rylan watched the chaos unfold. He whispered, almost to himself. Round 1. The Azrathian fleet reeled as the Phantom Armada unfolded across the void. Their scanners shrieked contradictory readings, massive thermal signatures one moment, phantom vacuums the next. Lines of alien code flooded their displays like panic scribbles. On Earth's side of the conflict, Commodore Rylan Arcturus stood motionless in the unified command citadel, watching the chaos blossom across the tactical map. The ghost fleet glimmered like a constellation forged in defiance. Commander Reyes broke the silence first. They're firing on everything. They can't decide what's real. Rylan studied the alien formations collapsing into disarray. Cruisers drifted out of formation, some colliding as they overcorrected. Frigates looped around phantom signatures, discharging volleys into empty space. Good, Rylan said. The more confused they are, the more predictable their panic becomes. A communications officer raised her head. Incoming message, from one of their captains. Rylan folded his hands behind his back. Let's hear it. The alien voice crackled with disbelief. Human commander, identify the nature of your illusions. This technology violates multiple interstellar accords. Rylan leaned forward. Then maybe you shouldn't have threatened to wipe out our cities. The line went dead. Reyes snorted. I don't think they appreciated your tone. They weren't calling to negotiate, Rylan replied. They were calling to confirm that their worst fear is real. They don't know what we're capable of. A young tactician spoke up from the lower deck. Sir, real ships are in position behind their right flank. Hold them until my signal. The ghost fleet drifted in disciplined formation, each vessel flickering with quantum haze. Some were perfect replicas of Earth's warships, others were visual distortions shaped to mislead alien targeting systems. They moved as a single choreography, weaving a maze the Empire couldn't decipher. On the Azrathian flagship, High Chancellor Zorvac stood before his tactical sphere, watching human illusions swarm like a tide. His mandibles clicked in agitation. This is fabrication, he growled. Primitive species do not master quantum phasing. A lieutenant tried to explain. Chancellor, our sensors detect. I do not care what they detect. Find the real ships. Another officer shouted. We're losing formation. Our cruisers are engaging each other by mistake. Zorvac slammed a claw into the holosphere, scattering ghostly projections. Reinforce the lower flank. I will not allow these mammals to humiliate us. But humiliation was already underway. Back in the citadel, Reyes called out, Sir, the Empire is concentrating fire on phantom carriers. Good, Rylan said. Shift those ghosts 10 degrees starboard. Make them chase shadows. Holographic icons glided across the map, responding instantly as the quantum array reinterpreted its constructs. The alien fleet moved like a puppet army tugged by invisible strings. Engineer Mara Keats appeared beside Rylan, still breathless from the earlier activation. The phasing resonance is holding, but prolonged strain will raise the failure risk. How long do we have? At this rate? Maybe 30 minutes before feedback destabilizes the entire field. Rylan nodded. Enough for what we need. Reyes looked over. And what exactly do we need, sir? A decisive strike. Launching the first blow. Rylan tapped a console, bringing a covert list of human ships into view, Rio vessels hidden inside the Ghost Fleet's distortions. Signal Wolf Squadron, he ordered. And Hammerfall. Reyes blinked. You want to send them now? Their dreadnought group is still intact. Intact, Rylan replied. But blind. Deep in space, human destroyers ignited their engines and moved like sharks cutting through kelp. Between layers of ghost signatures, they were nearly invisible. The phantoms shielded them from detection as they crept behind the Empire's command cluster. Mara watched the data streams with rising tension. They're in range. Rylan issued a single, measured command. Fire! A ripple of white fire streaked through the void. Torpedoes slammed directly into the alien command cruiser's exposed engines. The explosion tore through its core, engulfing the entire structure in a sphere of debris. On Veros Prime, Zorvak's image jolted as the feed flickered. Commander? One of his analysts whispered. We've just lost the command vessel. Zorvak's eyes widened. How? Their attack came from behind us. No scans detected maneuvering. They hid behind illusions. Zorvak hissed. These humans fight like tricksters. Another officer approached him with trembling claws. Chancellor, if they can fabricate fleets and conceal attacks, they may possess weapons capable of destabilizing our warp gates. Zorvak snarled. Prepare the Grand Armada. If these humans want war, they shall be crushed under the full strength of the Empire. Humanity rallies. In the Citadel, the room erupted in restrained applause as the alien cruiser's life signs flatlined. Reyes let out a slow breath. First Azrathian command ship destroyed. I never thought I'd see the day. Rylan didn't smile. This was the smallest fleet the Empire can send. They'll come back stronger. Mara agreed. We need to stabilize the array, upgrade the phasing algorithms, reinforce the capacitors. All of it, Rylan finished. We'll prepare. A communications officer called out. Incoming messages from colonies across the system. Volunteers. Supplies. Military pledges. Rylan finally allowed a hint of pride to show. Good. They understand what's coming. Reyes added softly. Sir, we've just made history. Rylan turned back to the map. The flickering ghost fleet drifted like a protective shroud around Earth, fading as the arrays cycled down. No, he said. We've made an enemy rethink their place in the galaxy. The console beeped suddenly, an alert. Mara checked the readings and paled. Long-range sensors just detected a mass hyperspace fold. How many ships? Rylan asked. She swallowed. Over 2,000. The room fell silent. Reyes whispered. The Grand Armada. Rylan squared his shoulders, calm as ever. Round 2, he said, is coming. The Grand Armada arrived like a rolling storm. Space twisted, bent, and then tore open as wave after wave of Azrathian warships emerged in towering ranks. Their sheer number made the earlier intimidation fleet look like a scouting patrol. Thousands of warforms spread across the solar system, their hulls reflecting the cold glare of distant sunlight. Inside the unified command citadel, silence settled over the war room. Every officer stared at the tactical display, speechless. Commander Reyes finally managed. "There's so many." Commodore Rylan Arcturus didn't blink. "They want to end this in a single strike." Engineer Mara Keats leaned over her console. "Our array is stable after the cooldown, but projecting a fleet across this scale will strain it to the edge. We won't match them ship for ship," Rylan said. "We don't need to. We only need them uncertain." President Elena Ward's hologram flickered into the war room. "Commodore, the world is watching. You have full authority. Whatever happens next, humanity stands behind you." Rylan nodded once. "Then let's begin. The new strategy." Rylan opened a secure channel to the quantum engineers. "Prepare Ghost Echo." Mara turned sharply. "You want to run the Echo protocol? We haven't stress-tested it." "Test it now," Rylan replied. "Across the entire system." Ghost Echo wasn't just a visual illusion, it reproduced heat, radiation, and engine signatures with uncanny realism. If it worked, the enemy wouldn't only see ghosts, they'd feel them. Within minutes, the quantum array hummed with rising resonance. The lights dimmed as energy poured into the projection coils. Reyes watched the readings climb. "If this overloads, then we lose," Rylan said. "And losing isn't an option." The first exchange. Across the void, the Azrathian Armada advanced. The flagship at the center dwarfed every other vessel, a city-sized dreadnought shaped like a clawed crescent. Inside that colossus, High Chancellor Zorvac stood on the command dais, surrounded by trembling officers. "Spread the fleet," he ordered. "Lock on to every human signature. Burn them from this system." A gunner hesitated. "Chancellor, their numbers." "Do not speak of their illusions," Zorvac snapped. "I want reality." "Find it." His officers scrambled to obey. But reality was exactly what Rylan intended to blur. The Ghost Echo unleashed. Rylan watched the map as thousands of human signatures bloomed across every corner of the system. Fleets that didn't exist, bases that were decoys, weapons that were nothing more than shaped phantoms. "Shift Echo Group 3 to Jupiter's shadow," Rylan instructed. "Pull them away from Earth." Instantly, the Grand Armada reacted. Alien cruisers swung wide, believing a massive human fleet was hiding behind the gas giant. Zorvac ordered half of his outer formation to break off and investigate. Reyes chuckled under his breath. "They're chasing mirages. They'll realize the truth eventually," Rylan said. "But by then it'll be too late." Mara called out. "Quantum integrity at 83%, holding." The clash. When the Armada reached firing distance, the sky erupted. Alien weapons discharged beams of molten light across empty space, striking nothing as the Ghost Echo fleet shimmered and split like smoke. Human ships darted through these shifting illusions, using them as cover. Rylan pointed at a cluster of enemy ships near Saturn's rings. "Wolf Squadron, engage!" The human squadron surged forward, slipping between projected decoys. They fired a barrage of torpedoes into the exposed underbelly of an Azrathian carrier. The explosion echoed across the battlefield as the massive vessel cracked and folded inward. On the flagship, Zorvac roared. "Where are the real humans? Where?" His officers scrambled to isolate genuine signatures, but every attempt collapsed under a flood of conflicting data. "Chancellor, every reading contradicts itself. Your orders?" "Advance!" he snarled. "Crush them by brute force." The turning point. Rylan observed the dreadnought at the heart of the Azrathian formation. "That's Zorvac's ship? If we corner him, the fleet will lose coordination." Reyes frowned. "That thing's a fortress. We'd need the entire Navy to break through." "Not the entire Navy," Rylan said softly. "Just a crack." He activated the infiltration drones, small, silent machines designed for close-quarters sabotage. Dozens of them launched from hidden human ships, drifting behind phantoms to mask their signatures. They slipped through the enemy firestorm unnoticed, gliding toward the dreadnought like a swarm of metallic insects. Mara monitored the infiltration. "Drones entering the hull, Breaching secondary conduits, they're in. Trigger the overload, Rylan ordered. Inside the dreadnought, sparks danced across conduits as the drones hacked into the maneuvering systems. The giant vessel shuddered, listing to one side. Zorvac grabbed hold of a railing, eyes widening. "What is happening?" he shouted. "External sabotage, Chancellor! Our stabilizers are failing!" As the dreadnought slowly tilted, gaps opened in the enemy formation. "No," Rylan said. "All units push through." Human ships surged forward, firing precise volleys into exposed alien flanks. Explosions rippled across the battlefield. The confrontation. Suddenly, Rylan's console blinked. "Direct link request, from Zorvac himself." "Patch him in," Rylan said. The towering alien appeared above the holotable, fury blazing in his eyes. "You should have submitted," Zorvac growled. "Your species has doomed itself." Rylan met his stare without flinching. "We don't kneel. Not to tyrants." Zorvac slammed a hand onto his controls. "Then witness your extinction." The dreadnought's superweapon began to charge, gathering enough energy to vaporize half a planet. Reyes whispered. "Sir, if that fires." "It won't," Rylan said. The final bluff. Rylan activated the deepest layer of the Ghost Echo Array, a projection designed for one purpose: terror. A colossal energy surge erupted from Earth's position, bright enough to blind every Azrathian sensor. The illusion resembled a planet-killer beam charging, one far more powerful than anything Azrathians had ever seen. Zorvac recoiled. His officers shouted in panic. "Chancellor, it's reading off every scale." "Impossible! Shut down their signature! Shut it down!" The dreadnought's charge sputtered as Zorvac hesitated. "Retreat!" one of his advisors cried. "Retreat before that thing fires!" Zorvac's composure cracked. "All ships, fall back!" The Grand Armada lurched into withdrawal, folding back into hyperspace like a wounded beast escaping a hunter. Aftermath. The battlefield fell silent as the last alien warship vanished. Reyes let out a slow breath. We actually pushed them back." Mara sank into her chair. "And the array held?" Rylan studied the fading signatures. "This isn't the end. But today, we proved something." Reyes looked at him. "What's that?" "That humanity doesn't break," Rylan said. "Not when it matters." He turned to the stars, calm as ever. "And the Empire has no idea what we'll do next."